I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to take a minute to think about your answer. You don't have to answer out loud, but I encourage you to close your eyes because it makes it easier to think, to let your thoughts, float up. And this is what I'd like you to think about. What does kindness mean to you? What does kindness mean to you? Okay, hold on to your answers. There are no right or wrong answers, just things to ponder in your heart. When I Googled what is kindness, the first websites listed were named Inspired Kindness and Kindness is Everything. But still, what does that mean? What is kindness? One dictionary tells us that kindness is the quality of being gentle, caring, and helpful. Another dictionary uses the terms friendly, generous, and considerate. Kindness is being gentle, caring, helpful, friendly, generous, and considerate. Kindness really is a heavy hitter. No wonder we go on about it. Then I was curious as to what Micah 6 verse 8 said. The verse we know is the answer to what God requires of us: to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Most of the versions of the Bible use that particular phrase. The English Standard Version uses the word kindness: do justice and love kindness and walk humbly. Followed by the Common English Bible with do justice, embrace faithful love, and walk humbly. Mercy, love, compassion, kindness. All the same concept and always combined with justice and humbleness. Now another question for you to think about. Close your eyes if you like. What does kindness look like? If we are to show kindness, if we are to be kind, friendly, caring, helpful, generous, what does that look like? I'm sure you are thinking of lots of ways to show kindness, and they're really simple things to do. It's very easy to be kind. If only it were very easy to choose to be kind, but we'll talk about that next Sunday. Today I want to tell you that you are not the kindest person. Wow, that sounds rude, doesn't it? You are not the kindest person. Who would say something like that? It took me aback too when I read it in early December on an Instagram post by Rachel Cargle, an African-American author and activist. I mean, how can you tell someone they aren't the kindest person? Don't we all think we're kind? That we are good? That we will do good given the chance? Telling us we aren't the kindest person is rather hurtful. Now, with that statement, you are not the kindest person, was a photo of the text Cargle had sent to friends explaining how anxious she felt about returning home to Ohio for the first time since her mother's death and funeral a month earlier. And she asked, in that text, if anyone would come and sleep over at her house to keep her company and help her cope. Here are her words about asking for help. I felt so needy, the search for someone to simply be near. But after thinking about it for hours on end, I decided the possibility of support held more weight than the fear of vulnerability that was holding me back. The possibility of support held more weight than the fear of vulnerability that was holding her back. So when she went public with the story of asking for help, she opened it by saying, "You are not the kindest person." And she was saying that to herself. Here's how Cargle explained it, and I've paraphrased what she said. Many of us have a really hard time asking for help, often as a result of the assumptions we make and our feelings of shame. We think we'll make someone uncomfortable by asking for help. We think we'll be embarrassed by having to ask at all. I'll add that pride, I don't need help, and denial, I'm fine, everything's fine, also get in the way. They play a part in that. So Cargle said she flips it around. If someone asked her for help, how would she respond? And she said, quote, "My answer is always, I'd be honored they asked. I would be thrilled for the chance to show up for a friend. I would try my absolute best to show up for them." Let's hear that again. I would be thrilled for the chance to show up for a friend. We all know that thrill, don't we? The thrill of getting to help someone, the thrill of being of some use to someone when they are in crisis. It makes us feel good to help someone. Almost as if being kind, friendly, caring, helpful, generous is some human instinct we can't control. Not quite our default, but something we can't control. We want to be kind. Cargle went on to write how this is a reminder that she is not the kindest person in the world. In her words, there are many, many kind people who would and want to show up just as I would always like to show up for my people. I love that. There are many, many kind people who want to show up. We all know the thrill of accepting help and of being helpful. So actually, saying you are not the kindest person in the world is just a reminder, because we need to remember this more than ever. There are many, many kind people who want to help, who are generous and friendly and considerate. We need to give kindness to one another. We need to receive kindness from one another. We need to encourage kindness in each other. It is through the giving and receiving of kindness that we are able to move on to providing the even bigger things that are beyond our individual lives and our individual crises. These things that impact a greater number of people. Things like mercy and justice. When we are filled with the hope and joy that kindness makes us feel, then we want to show up for others and fill them with hope and joy. When we fill up our lives and the lives around us with hope and joy and kindness, we automatically look further to continue doing that. We are not the kindest people, and we are surrounded by kind people. This community, this province, this nation is full of many, many kind people just waiting to show up. I know it seems like nastiness and vitriol and even evil are rampant. It seems like that's all we hear about, that's all we hear. Just flat out nastiness all the time. People being mean to one another. But it's just the algorithms. Stop reading the comments. Follow the good news feeds. Because there is good news. And that's what the world needs. The good news of love, compassion, inclusion, and fairness. The good news of Jesus. We are called to be disciples of Jesus. We are called to follow his example. So then, be active. Seek out kindness. Do kindness. The more we ask for help, the more chances people get to be kind. As we heard in Paul's letter to the Ephesians, be kind and merciful and forgive others. It's as simple as that. Be kind, be merciful, and don't hold a grudge. Treat others the way you want to be treated. What better way to push back the hate and the violence, to push back the dark veil of evil, than with kindness? You are not the kindest person in the world. Whew, that's a relief. It's not all on you. So if you're tired, if you're weary, if you're burned out, seek kindness. If you're tired of the nastiness, if you're weary of the hate, if you're burned out on politics and religion, do kindness. It's just what Jesus said in the story we heard. The story we know is the Good Samaritan. And Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." May these words be wisdom for our living. Amen.